The cry is systemic racism at the University of Missouri. At the same time, there are those wondering why it took a football team in protest to bring what many claim was years of racism to the fore, and how it's becoming yet another ridiculous and misguided slap at the media. President Obama has been slapped down yet again on his attempt to make millions of illegal immigrants fully fledged Americans by executive order. Where will he go next? And will the Supreme Court hand him another win? What needs to be the role of American intelligence agencies in light of the downing of that Russian jetliner, knowing full well the fight and the killers are always targeting the American prize? And when it comes to the National Football League, it's now easy to uncover the most despicable owner and player in the game, the ones who don't mind seeing a woman bruised and battered. Let's see if these cretins can take the hits. I'm Ed Berliner. This is The Hardline for Tuesday, November 10th, 2015.
This has been going on before I even got here from talking to graduate students. So it's really about just getting fairness. It's not just about Tim Wolf resigning, but it's about just getting equal rights with different things on campus. And I know this is just like the beginning of it. This is just their way of getting attention to some of the problems that we've been dealing with.
Incidents either fueled by racism, alcohol, or both. Let's not forget wanton stupidity. And in the end, the president of a university system is forced to resign. Questions about why it took a football team to be the catalyst, and what it means when certain protesters swear this is just the beginning. All bringing the racial issue back to the fore in American life and at American college campuses. And let's get the truth behind the anger. Our first guest is columnist for the Daily Beast, covering race and culture with a political bend, Barrett Holmes Pitner, joined by the editor-in-chief at Campus Reform, the website calling itself a watchdog to the nation's higher education system, Sterling Beard. Gentlemen, I want to thank you both for being with us. And Sterling, seeing as you're close to the campuses, I'm going to start with you on this one. And again, that is a question many people are asking. If indeed there was systemic racism at the University of Missouri for many years, some people are saying back to the 60s, why then did it take a football team to get this thing right out in front of people? Why didn't someone do it before this?
Well, the football team sort of put university president Tim Wolf in a sort of no-win situation, because no matter what he did at that point, anything that he was going to do was going to be received negatively. Obviously, the football team was not going to be able to pull the scholarships of the players who were boycotting, because that would be seen as a retaliation against black students standing against racism. Likewise, they could not fire, say, Coach Gary Pinkel for the sort of same reasons. So it took the football team, a big part of the life at Mizzou, where they love their football. That sort of created the critical mass that got Tim Wolf to
Let me
resign.
stop you there for a second, because that's to the point here. Now, here's Gary Pinkel. He is the head football coach at the University of Missouri, saying that he supported the team's decision to boycott everything until the president resigned. Here's what he said.
I don't think really at the time the game's important. We wanted to play the football game, but it was still about this young man. And, you know, at the time, Saturday, Sunday, it's not about football. It had nothing to do with football. It's about my players need my support, and I'm going to support them.
Sterling, you stayed on football, and a lot of people have. Let's be honest. Football is a multi-million-dollar organization. It is a business at the University of Missouri, like it is every place else. So when you talk about firing a president, making something done, isn't it fair to say that the only reason this was done was because the university was looking at the possibility of losing millions of dollars? It had nothing to do with anything socially relevant here. This was about money.
Well, you know, of course, as you said, the University of Mizzou does love its football. It's obviously a large source of revenue for the school. It obviously does a lot to bring the school together. But this perhaps created the critical mass. But whether or not the football team would have gotten involved, who knows? We're playing what ifs at that point. If no matter what happened, President Wolf was going to resign, then the football team certainly accelerated that timeline. But at that point, we're talking a game of what ifs. We can't say for certain whether or not Tim Wolf would have been gone if the football team had not gotten involved.
All right. So, Barrett, let me bring you into the conversation here. Let me get back to the original question here. We are seeing the New York Times crying intolerable atmosphere. USA Today said a racially fraught campus. They're citing 3 incidents, none of which seem to actually include students, all of which were racially insensitive and were horrendous things to even discuss here. But again, my question comes down to this. It took a football team to do this. If this has been going on for 40 plus years, where are the protesters? Where are the organizations? Where are the student groups getting this done? It just seems as if somebody missed the boat here and they had to wait until football threatened an economic disaster here before anybody wanted to do anything.
Well, yeah, it's a complicated issue because a lot of speaking up and saying, difficult things that you don't think are going to be necessarily welcome, you have to have a lot of agency and leverage in your environment. And if you are a marginalized group of people, it's harder to gain that sort of capital so that people hear what you say and act and respect what you're saying. Unfortunately, with American higher education right now, football for many schools is one of the major driving forces, recruiting tools, revenue generators. So the involvement of the football team definitely played a role, but a lot of that's due to African Americans encompassing a large proportion of the football team, and they're clearly not the majority on the campus.
Okay,
so
but
having the football players support, gave them more leverage.
Barrett, but I got to get back to the issue here, which we're dancing around here. We've even had one teacher there, a couple of teachers there, African-American teachers who say that they have been called the N-word by people on campus over the years. One even said that she has been called the N-word multiple times by other teachers at the school over the years. So why then didn't somebody do something about it before now?
Well, when you look at the protests that they've had over the past weekend, they're not due to one flashpoint incident. They're actually talking about a series of events that have been happening since Ferguson, Missouri. So I think a lot of people have been coming out and saying that there are racial tensions on campus. It's just it had to reach a critical mass and get a loud enough voice for the higher ups at the university to pay attention to it. And that actually speaks to the oppressive nature of, the potential oppressive nature of the campus, where you can report racist abuses and people just won't listen to you until you have a really influential body on the campus speak up for you, such as the football team.
Do you really believe there was an oppressive nature on the campus? And again, I ask that, and again, we have to guess here. None of the three of us are sitting at the University of Missouri campus here. We're hearing a lot of stories. So I guess, Barrett, are we then believing that there was this racial incident there and this racial tension there that's been lasting for decades and nothing's been done?
Well, it's a difficult question because what they're protesting now are a series of events. And due to it not being one flashpoint incident that everybody can point to and say, clearly, this is heavily racially motivated, and it's a lot of instances, people using the N-word and, all sorts of other occurrences, you get the opportunity to look at it and examine it. Right now, we should be respectful to the people that are protesting while also being objective and looking at their complaints and, assessing how valid and how systemic it is and how far it goes back. The University of Missouri only became integrated in the 1950s. And so there's a lot of work. The school's over 170 years old. So there's a large, precedent of it being, racially oppressive, but that was like an American standard for a long time. So yeah, I can't speak to it because I'm not on the campus, but
right.
Respectfully, we have to listen to what people are saying and examine it.
Let's look at something else that happened here. And Barrett, I'm going to ask you first on this. A media professor at the university. Now, this is getting a lot of play around the country right now. Organizing the students, you had an accredited and actual journalist who was there to take pictures, and here's what she did in confronting that reporter.
Hi, media. Can I talk to you?
No, you need to get out.
Well,
you need to get out.
No, I don't.
You need to get out.
I actually don't.
All right. Hey, who wants to help me get this reporter out of here? I need some muscle over here.
I need your muscle over here. And this is an assistant professor of mass media, Melissa Click, who's doing it. Sterling, come on, let's be honest here. They're blaming the media now for this, and they're going, look, for the most part, this is a very peaceful protest. We have to give them a lot of credit for that. Nothing got out of hand here. Let's give them all the kudos for that. But this is a little ridiculous, is it not?
Well, it's absolutely ridiculous. And let's be clear here. Now, Melissa Click was a professor in the media department, which is separate from the journalism school at Mizzou. As a matter of fact, one of the professors earlier today was speaking on CNN from the School of Journalism, and he said that he was very upset with Professor Click's behavior. But it signals to me that, perhaps the professor did not understand exactly how the First Amendment works with freedom of the press.
A professor of mass media, an assistant professor of mass media, not understanding how the First Amendment works. What you just said, that's stunning in itself.
Like an Onion headline, doesn't it? Yes. But she was telling you can't be here. You've got to respect this space and whatnot, what have you. Of course, the problem is that the encampment that the reporter was trying to photograph was in a public area. It
Yes.
wasn't as if he had gone into somebody's dorm room and demanded to take pictures. This was in a public area. There is no expectation of privacy there. The reporter was completely in the right, and I got to admire that reporter for not losing his cool.
For keeping
when
his
the
cool,
professor's
certainly
saying,
when
"Let's
she
get
talks
muscle and
about
get you
bringing
out of
muscle
here."
in. I only got 30 seconds left. Real quick from both of you. I'm going to start with you, Sterling. Was firing the president or having him resign the right thing to do?
Look, the fact of the matter is that no matter what happens, this is not going to be enough. Yes, President Wolf is gone, but this will now the protest will move on to the next issue. So I don't think that certainly President Wolf leaving is not going to solve any of the problems that these protesters say are there that we're hearing about from that campus. It's a trophy on the wall. Yes, President Wolf is gone, but whether that does anything in the long run
got to stop you
remains to
there.
be seen.
Barrett, 10 seconds from you. Same question.
Yeah, he had to go, but it's the beginning of a long journey. This is not the end result, and a lot of work has to be done collectively. And to go back to the previous point, safe spaces
I'm all out
are
of
what
time.
people are
I
trying
can't
to
go
make in
back to the
college
previous
campuses.
point. Barrett Holmes Pitner, dailybeast.com, Sterling Beard, campusreform.org. Gentlemen, we're going to continue this conversation. Trust me, the hard line continues.